I came upon a fantastic Arthur Ashe quote a little while ago that says, start where you are, use what you've got, and do what you can. That's a great idea, and it's fantastic, and I really intend to use that moving forward. Unfortunately, this is kind of where I am right now. Let's get into it. Okay, so let's start with where I'm at. I'm Pete McConville, about to turn 56 years old, 15 to 20 kilos overweight, totally out of training and out of fitness, and probably most importantly, sitting here in a hospital room, having just had the first of a couple of procedures I have to have on my heart. I'll talk about this maybe more in another video one day, but essentially, out of the blue, it turns out I've got a number of fairly significant blockages in my heart. I've just had the worst of those, a 95% blockage of my LAD artery, stented with 3 stents. Gonna go home, come back in a couple of weeks and get the other arteries fixed. Yeah, so that's where I am. Okay, so what have I got? I've got experience and history in something not unlike this. A long time ago, I went through a similar phase of being similarly unfit. And my answer then is going to be the answer I do again now, which is I embraced the idea of someone who was healthy. I embraced the lifestyle of someone who was healthy. And the lifestyle in particular I embraced was that of the triathlete. I didn't do triathlons, I became a triathlete. Now, for various reasons, that slipped, and I found myself here wearing this thing everywhere, and hooked up to this thing, and yeah, in this hospital and getting this procedure done. But the plan is get these procedures done and get past it. So what do I bring to this? I bring some experience. I've done this before. I'm going to talk about some big plans later, but to put that in perspective, I've done half a dozen half Ironman triathlons before. I've done 3 full Ironmans before, and it was actually probably DNFing an Ironman Switzerland. That was the first indication there was something wrong with my body. I didn't listen to that quite clearly enough back in 2017, but now, 4 years later, I've heard the message, I've figured out what the problem is, and I'm getting it fixed. But even more importantly than that, I've got something bigger that's, if you like, a bigger resource, and that is I've got a why. I've got a reason for fundamentally changing my identity and who I am. And it's not personal fear. Personal fear and personal bravery is massively overrated. It's actually relatively easy for an individual to put themselves in harm's way, to put themselves at risk. This, being in hospital, having such a significant blockage, I was forced to stay in hospital for a week waiting for the procedure because my surgeons were so worried that at any moment my heart hand grenade would go off. Watching the impact of that on my family has been more than a little sobering. I'm not going to put them through that again. So I'm going to fix this. I'm going to be a person that doesn't do that to them anymore. And that means embracing a much healthier, much more active, much more physically out there lifestyle. It means getting rid of all that extra weight. And it means getting into things. And that why for other people is my number one resource. So what's the plan? The plan is, and so what can I do? I'm setting myself a bold gesture, a big plan. If I can get back into an Ironman triathlon out of this position, that is what I'm aiming for. Arbitrarily, I've got 2 dates in mind. The first is I'm going to try and do Melbourne Half Ironman, November 2023. Now that's a little less than a year away. And then I would like to be ready for Ironman Italy in September 2024. So that's almost 2 years away. Well, probably about 20 months away. Now those are I think they're relatively ambitious goals, and before anyone starts saying I'm running a risk, absolutely, I am prepared to let those dates slide. I'm not going to die in a ditch over those dates. It's just that if I'm going to come up with a training program, there needs to be some kind of time scale in there. So that's nominally what I'm shooting for. As I said, I do know what I am in for. I have done this training before. I have all the kit. I've got all the tools at my disposal. I'm not going to be caught by surprise. So yeah, that's what I'm planning to do. That's what I want to do to get on top of this and never have to be in one of these rooms again, or at least not until I'm in my 80s or 90s, and have to have this conversation with my family. So what I want to do is every week I'm going to come back and talk about the plan and what I'm doing and where I'm going, and I might throw some other wellness stuff in about heart health and all that sort of thing. I do also have Hashimoto's disorder, which is actually the reason I dropped off the triathlon train in the first place, which I've now got on top of, so we'll be talking about that. A whole bunch of things, very complicated, but also kind of straightforward and fun. This is all about ultimately, you know, a middle-aged guy with a couple of health issues trying to get back on top of them and finish an Ironman triathlon. If you're interested in that story, if that feels like something you might need to do yourself, watch along and watch me fail, succeed, try, get back up again, dust myself off, and then keep on going. I've been Pete McConville, and this is an Unprofessional Triathlete. I will see